change much unless TSM went into the back room or RNG went into the back room and thought they lost that draft terribly. Otherwise, I think they do the same thing.
I think that if you get the same pick ban, Azir is a very good pick right now for RNG that can match the shove and actually keeps things like the Skarner as well as the Cannon out if we go completely mirrored team compositions here. So I think that they would be pretty happy with that.
No change yet. It was a first pick Nami last time round. And is it going to get locked? It is locked.
I thought he locked
graphic.
it.
Yeah, it is locked. It is locked.
He did. Oh my. Quick shot. My heart.
I know. The graphics threw me off just a little bit, but TSM have pivoted. So with the jungle champion pool pinched, no Skarner for Svenskeren.
Yeah, and this actually tweaks the pick and ban phase a lot. And quite honestly, this whole situation sucks for everyone involved. They have to completely pivot their pick and ban phase. It completely matters on how quickly you can adapt. These guys spent a month on their previous pick and ban phase, so to speak, to get to the first game, and they've had 20 minutes for their next one. So it is a very quickly evolving scenario, and it's really about mental strength and adaptability right now. And because TSM has decided to switch it up, they think they're going to be stronger at this game. They think they can adapt faster. That's why they lock in Lee Sin.
And you know, history would show that that's probably the case right now. RNG has been rattled in series and been slow to react. So I like the fact that TSM is the team that is willing to pull that curveball out. And we'll see now whether RNG sticks to a very similar draft and gets another aggressive jungler, or whether they go completely off the wall.
Well, TSM once again get the Nami. Please disregard the visual bug on Lee Sin and that timer. This is the picks of bans as far as the graphics are concerned. The Cassiopeia was stolen away by Shao, who Bjergsen had locked it in previously. And now TSM got the duo, got the jungler, leaving their solo lanes till last rotation, waiting for RNG to reveal a little bit more information.
I think it's really interesting that TSM have decided to go for the Jhin when they still could have just gotten the Ezreal Nami bottom lane, which they picked early last game. But it probably has a little bit to do with the Cassiopeia and the Rumble and being able to zone them out of team fights a little bit, since especially with those two picks and all the jungle bans, a tanky jungler isn't that likely. So therefore the Jhin ultimates could actually do a lot of poke pre-fight, and TSM is continuing to try and change things up.
But your setup has to be so good because, I mean, if you get a Bard ultimate thrown at you as a Jhin, you stop your ultimate. You get a Rumble ultimate thrown at you as a Jhin, you die. So there's a little bit of a difference there, and I'll be interested to see how Doublelift and TSM play around that vision that you need as a Jhin to start up these fights.
Yeah, so much change. We see the Hecarim being pulled out. That's definitely not Skarner on that side. Orianna has gotten pulled out for Bjergsen. It's something he practiced a whole bunch in solo queue. It had some buffs coming towards 6.18. It's the first one we see at Worlds. I do not think it will be the last. And it's a lot of support actually revolving around a Jhin so far for TSM.
It's not a world championship without an Orianna at some point, Jet. And it's actually the matchup that even the analyst desk was talking about, you know, in terms of what options Xiaohu could have run into the Cassiopeia in conjunction with the rest of the team composition. I think this wanna go fast comp is already terrifying, and Marta has locked in Alistar.
And I think that Marta said it in spring, give me Alistar and I will win you the game. And he throws down the gauntlet because that is a punishing duo lane to go up against. And they're not going to have the wave control now because they've given away melee versus range.
How are they going to play this lane is my question. The Jhin Nami is devastating to the Alistar Sivir, and it's not like MLXG can provide a lot of early jungle pressure on the Hecarim. This is risky from RNG to try and pick the stronger team fight and better late game support, because he'd be able to tank up a lot of the ultimates that come out of TSM. But boy, do they have a lot of faith in themselves if they think they can win this lane against Jhin Nami.
A lot of a gauntlet thrown down. TSM have to take advantage of the early game strengths, because if they allow RNG to get to the mid to late game with this team composition, they are literally at risk of being run over.
Yeah, and the scary thing for TSM is you've also picked a 5v5 team fighting comp, and you're going up against some of the best in the business when you look at what RNG do with these death ball comps. So incredibly excited to see how TSM can execute in that late game if it does get there. The early game is going to be incredibly difficult to get through.
If TSM get their way, it will not get there. And with some very strong laners, especially on that top and bottom lane, and Lee Sin as well. Svenskeren, what can you do? For the second time today, jump onto Twitter, ladies and gentlemen, hashtag TSM win, or will LPL's #2 hashtag RNG win? pick up a victory. Apple Pie already has a W on the board today. TSM's looking to make it 2 as we load up onto Summoner's Rift for the last time today on day 1.
Yeah, and both these teams need to make sure they're refocusing, getting their heads in the game. We see a lot of different champions coming out of this next ban phase. Substantial change from both team compositions.
And I just want to touch on the Orianna a little bit, because any champion, in my opinion, that can pick up Morella Nomicon and Rylai's Crystal Scepter has a spot in the current meta, just because they're so incredibly gold efficient. And Orianna, that is the build that she is going towards.
And I also do have to say, the buffs to Orianna was a cooldown reduction to the ultimate, and especially with how accessible CDR is, even at level 11, you're now dealing with a sub 1 minute cooldown on the Orianna ult. So it changes from this thing you have to wait for the perfect team fight to something you can actually just use for harass a lot of the time. And I think that's one of the big reasons we see the resurgence.
Oh, look at me, Matt.
Oh, this is cute.
Sonic Wave, stun maybe. No, I'm going to time out. Those Marks of the Storm. Not going to be able to get stacked up. Nothing really gained. Just a little bit of poke damage here onto Looper.
They actually get a lot of control over the top side of the jungle. All of a sudden, MLXG doesn't get Elation on the Elation red buff.
Hopefully it's not coming across on the screen.
Are we good?
It was definitely going out in-house, so I'm glad I'm not alone.
I bet you guys didn't know Spawn was that good at rapping.
Either way, we're back into the early game. You're talking about the early advantage they were able to get. MLXG was unable to get a pull from any sense to Looper, and is a little bit low at the start.
That's what I was trying to say. And Hecarim already jungles quite low, so we'll see whether MLXG just have to 3 camp and go back, because that gives Svenskeren really big advantage in the early game, actually, already on the Lee Sin.
Firefrost playing very aggressively, actually comes away worse for wear in this trade, but double ranged into range melee. Gonna give them some support, couple of biscuits and a heal in his kit as well. There you go, trading with that ebb and flow. Already back up the top, and Doublelift and Bifrost really contesting every single CS.
Yeah, and this is where the biggest focus is going to be in the early game, especially because Bifrost and Doublelift need to be able to crush this lane. I actually got to talk to Doublelift as the season was ending, and I asked him why they actually switched away from range supports and towards melee supports towards the playoffs, and he said it's because the 5 to 10 CS advantages just aren't worth it, and the junglers are so good at ganking, so if you push up, a Gragas or Rek'Sai comes and kills you. Obviously, with 3 jungle bans, the tone has changed a little bit, and the Hecarim can't punish the lane nearly as hard. So for TSM to pick this, I think they're expecting a 20 to 30 CS advantage at some point, and maybe even first turret.
But in saying that, if there is one range melee support that's going to kill you, it is the Thunder Cow, and he's taking Ignite into this, as well as the first gank coming down mid.
Oh, MLXG's come in, Bjergsen's in trouble, Ghost already used, Flash is available, Sonic Wave comes in, Svenskeren's looking for Xiaohu, not going to get the kill though. MLXG's able to get away, and jungler support, Flash and Ghost blown on both sides of the mid lane.
Yeah, 6 summoner spells used overall on that, and it ends up with everyone just kind of walking away. We said bottom lane would be the focus, but that mid lane gank was very close to working for RNG.
And you know, you talk about summoner spell usage, Bjergsen does not flinch at that stage of the game, holds onto his flash until the last possible moment, nearly turned that around for Svenskeren to be able to pick up the first blood there. I like the, I guess, courage coming out of Bjergsen in that 2v1.
You got to give some credit to MLXG, making a pre-level 6 gank work very effectively on this Hecarim. Blue buff going to be donated over here to Bjergsen. This is going to give him even more control in the mid lane. 10 CS advantage currently, and in actual fact, Uzi has gone up to a 7 CS lead, but that's because Doublelift is farming up a very, very big minion wave right under the tower. Missing just quite a few of those CS, actually.
Ooh, the reload. I hate that mechanic.
Yeah, not able to pick up every single one, and Uzi's gone back for a call, so that just really says that Uzi's trying to stay in this towards the team fight phase, but really you'd want TSM to be able to punish this a little bit harder than they have even early on in the game.
And this is something that LPL teams actually love to do. They throw the gauntlet. We scale better than you. You're going to actually have to win this lane insanely hard now because we have the cull. So we're getting a lot of passive gold on our side as well. It generally draws a lot of jungle attention in the LPL, as now Marta goes for a roam.
Oh, that's
Marta.
a flash pulverized. Svenskeren's in trouble. Remember, there's no flash. First blood picked up to MLXG.
And Marta headbutts him back onto the grounded zone there, so he can't ward hop away. Very nice support play.
That was gorgeous from Mata, and that's why you pick the Alistair. You don't pick it for the lane, you pick it for the plays that can be made. So much has been made about how RNG needs to raise Uzi, now he demands resources. Clearly RNG changing it up a little bit with an Alistair pick for a poor lane, and he just deserts them for a level 3 roam, and it works with the kill.
All right, let's take another look at this. He goes in nice and deep off of back timing. They're able to see Svenskeren on a ward, and he just flashes in, immediately pulls him. As soon as the ground is down, just knocks him back on top.
Right. Yep, no ward jump is possible when he's on the miasma from the Cassiopeia. Really going to make things difficult for Svenskeren to get in this game.
And the thing I love about the roam the most is if Mata can continue to do this, it's no longer a 2v2. It's a Jhin versus a Sivir, and Sivir's going to win out in that push, and it allows Uzi to continue to scale up. So if he goes towards a quick boots, if he gets priority in that vision, as you can see they have on the bottom side of the jungle, this is a repetitive play style to be able to go back towards.
Now, there's 2 pink wards for RNG. Keep track of how long they are alive. Another pink ward in the Tribush, which Horns is just about to walk over. He's placed a ward down, actually, so we'll be aware that it's there, but not safe enough to clear out just yet. And Svenskeren, we caught a quick glimpse of him stealing away that Raptor camp from RNG. We're at an even game as far as gold is concerned, but first blood in RNG's pockets, making up for the CS deficits in multiple lanes.
I do think those pink wards, though, kind of tell us where RNG's head's at. A lot of times, 6 minutes into the game, you're trying to get river control with your pink wards, yet they place 2 pink wards inside the jungle of TSM. They may be headhunting for Svenskeren in this game and trying to keep him completely out of the game. Since TSM do have relatively strong lanes, and if they can keep Lee Sin out of it, they can basically guarantee their lanes don't die.
What you really need to watch for here is MLXG's gone back. He got the shock for the challenging smite, and Loop has allowed the wave to push in, which means if it bounces back, you can build up a big wave. Then you get the deep teleport. It's actually not available. So this is a play that you would run with teleport a lot in the LPL. I don't think it's going to be worthwhile 3v2, so we'll see whether they can actually play towards the bottom half of the map.
And I think there's going to be a lot of jungle invading going on right here, although Svenskeren doesn't have a tracker's knife yet. And like you said, MLXG has the challenging smite. Gotta be scared of the level 6 Lee Sin, though.
Yeah, versus level 5. MLXG gonna back away. Support coming from TSM already. Bjergsen's inside the jungle. Haunts had been running in for a few moments, and they're contesting the red.
Yeah, you have a 13 CS advantage in the top lane, a 14 CS advantage in the mid lane, and because they're both shoved in, it's a very easy move for TSM, not being daunted by the kill that Svenskeren suffered earlier, and he's able to just go and take a red for very little congestion.
This is kind of what you expect, though, right? When you looked at the lanes of TSM, when you look at the team compositions, and the fact that Lee Sin's going to be able to go toe-to-toe with MLXG's Hecarim for a while still, it just allows TSM to make those aggressive forward plays.
That's what you expect out of TSM. MLXG giving up a red buff for free is not what you expect out of RNG. I am actually incredibly surprised by the discipline coming out of RNG, just walking away from that play, giving it up because, you know, they do have the scaling on their side.
And that's a scary sign for TSM. If RNG, if they can keep things close, if they can allow their scaling to kick in, and then potentially prove to be the better team fighters, that could be a way for RNG to get in.
This is smart.
Oh, Biofrost gets caught out. No tidal wave available. Holds onto his flash very confidently, and Uzi and Mata, they back away.
Yeah, but this is going to allow RNG the freedom to push up the lane a little bit. I do really like the way RNG is playing most of this early game. A lot more smart than you would expect them to if you were watching the finals in the LPL, and they're really kind of defying a lot of the preconceived notions about this team.
I would say a lot more respectful than the way that they're playing the LPL final. They're not throwing the gauntlet, they're not trying to go toe-to-toe. Instead, they're ceding advantages where they need to and trying to get advantages on the other side of the map. As you can see right now, counter jungling comes in for Bjergsen. MLXG's top side trying to take away some wolves.
Gonna end up trading those blue buffs. Keep track of those CS numbers. It is still nearly plus 20 for Hornsa, 16 at the moment. In the mid lane, plus 13, plus 10 in the AD carry role. So those laners for TSM are doing well, but not well enough. We're approaching 10 minutes on the clock, and it is basically an even game. Svenskeren may want to change that.
Collapsed on.
Sonic Wave, Ward Hop, the Sonic Wave connects! Svenskeren follows him over the wall, but MLXG's running at a mile a minute. He's got the close down, flash forward, Sonic Wave, Dragon's Rage, Svenskeren gets the kill!
That was a great play by Svenskeren right there, chasing MLXG all the way from river to the inner turret. Exactly why he wants to pick Lee Sin.
Despite giving up first blood, no fear, landing every single skill shot.
And this is just so incredibly impressive. I mean, able to land the first Q past Harold but then follows up, has the confidence to be able to flash and land the second Q, gets the execute damage, and then follows it up. That is beautiful play.
Yeah, and he's able to do that and invade so deeply because the solo lanes are struggling so far for RNG. I definitely do think Bjergsen and Hansa are doing quite well, and it is one of the things that RNG struggled with a little bit in the summer split is Uzi was the lane that was winning, and Xiaohu and Looper weren't doing as well as you would have expected. The main thing I'm impressed with so far, though, is just how subdued this game has been, despite the expectations from RNG.
Ooh. Quick flash there from Double Lift. Bubble onto Marta. The Unbreakable Will comes out. Marta's going low. Double Lift's got Curtain Call. May want to throw it down for RNG. Dancing Grenade comes out on the hunt from Uzi. Teleport matched by Hansa about a second later, though. The curtain is called. Shots being fired. Teleport arrives. Here comes Hansa. He's deciding not to flash just yet. Teleport's blown. Ultimates, summoners, and nobody goes down.
Who are you and what have you done with RNG? I mean, there were so many times they looked like they wanted to pull the trigger there, but the play continues.
Well, it's 5 people bottom.
There's the trigger, it's been pulled. Marta gets rooted, Shockwave whiffs. That's not where we're expecting. Tidal Wave goes wide and Uzi has cleared the wave out. TSM peeled back. They may look to take Dragon.
But instead it's TSM with the force this time around. I mean, RNG able to back away from the situation. They get their recalls in, Waves in a pretty good position, especially top that's pushing back towards Looper. So TSM maybe get a little bit antsy with that call.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're expecting to jump ahead in this game. They do not want to get to 30-minute team fights against a big Alistar, a 3-item Sivir, a 4-item Cassiopeia, and the Rumble plus Hecarim. They just are outclassed as far as a champion perspective in that team fight. So the small advantages they have early, they're trying to push really hard.
At what point do we say it's not enough? Bjergsen with Svenskeren inside RNG's red buff. It's still only a 400 gold game. Items have been picked up, and up in the top lane, Loop is now going to be in trouble. The recipient of another dive. No flash available for Sven, but a good stun from the Slicing Maelstrom. This should be a relatively easy kill, unless MLXG can get involved. Looking at the minimap, Xiaohu's coming up from the jungle, and Sven's in trouble. Onslaught of Shadows available. MLXG jumps out, but Sven gets away. Unfortunately, Haunts has found Xiaohu. Xiaohu not going to use the Petrifying Gaze, and Sven makes it out alive.
Another time Svenskeren outplays MLXG, this time a lot closer, but that has to get into the head of the young jungler from RNG.
We've seen some pretty sick Lee Sin plays already at Worlds between Revolta and the defeated BDG and Svenskeren so far in this game. Just the gank itself was quite clean. I mean, this is the Rumble and the Lee Sin gank setup. It's a very strong combination. Stun, can't miss that Q, gets the kick. This is the easy part for TSM. It's the escape that's troubling. MLXG has the challenging smite. Looks like he's going to be able to get the damage, and Svenskeren knows MLXG has ultimate.
And just misses right there because he's able to dash to a minion. Don't know whether MLXG thought maybe he was out of energy there, but looked like he had a fair amount left, so just a big miscalculation.
2 kills of the game to Svenskeren for TSM, and Biofrost. It's again playing very far forward, threatening the poke. It's Bjergsen that's the recipient. 142 CS to 111. He's leading the way and really giving Xiaohu a difficult time in that lane.
Yeah, the Orianna has always been known as a strong laner. Bjergsen as well has been an incredibly strong laner. But so much of the assault from TSM does seem to come from Sven, and if he can make these plays happen, since Bjergsen has such an advantage in the mid lane, it's about his roams.
I'm going to find the CC from Double Lift the Biofrost. Sonic Wave fishing just a little bit, not really sniffing anything out. Teleport is not available for either top laner, so this could be a 4-on-4. But TSM is slightly tighter grouped. Xiaohu would have to come in from a flank, and TSM they're committing to this buff steal.
One more time, disciplined play out of RNG. They back away. They're giving away a lot of advantages right now. It's out to a 1,000 gold lead, but they just feel like they cannot fight at this stage of the game. And if that's the case, don't give away a bigger advantage. I agree with the call, but you have to think when they do start to try and take these fights, because right now it is starting a snowball.
Yeah, getting the Ocean Drake is very good for TSM as the lane phase extends here. This is a really strange game from RNG that I've seen.
Svenskeren has found Xiaohu delivers the shockwave. That was exceptional. TSM are not done yet. Uzi and Marta, they were going toe-to-toe. Sven connects with another Sonic Wave. That thing is not missing today. Sven's going to back away from that fight. There was definitely a fight in the bottom lane. Ultimates and summoner spells were used.
Svenskeren's on fire. I mean, he's absolutely torching the entire RNG lineup right now. The last second takes the Q and just blows up Xiaohu, and now that mid lane turret's going to fall down.
Yeah, this has been a bit of the Svenskeren show, but I also kind of want to double back to RNG, because I was one of RNG's biggest advocates running up into this tournament, thinking about the individual skill of these guys and how they could win lanes, and then maybe they could have the communication to transition to the team fights. What I did not expect were losing lanes all across the map with a weak early pressure jungler. That was the surprising thing. But watching this play one more time, kicks him first, guarantees the Q land, then followed him over. But
sorry, Jack got to jump back. Double lift's in trouble. He will go down. Uzi and Mata, they win the 2v2. Level 9 and 8. Now Biofrost is a target. Uzi and Mata decide not to dive. No Unbreakable will, but here comes MLXG. Onslaught of Shadows is available, and Biofrost needs to back away.
And RNG kind of silencing two critics at one time. The critics that are telling them to stop camping for Uzi, who's the only successful lane right now, as well as the fact that that's one against the tide. Do want to go back to your point, however, how well Haunter and Bjergsen has set up successful top side of the map right now has meant that the gameplay out of RNG has to go bottom lane because no one else is winning.
Exactly, and the Sivir can have tremendous late game scaling, as well as Mata being the man to set everything up. That is RNG's way of getting back into the game, because even though there's a 40 CS differential in the mid lane, Xiaohu and Looper will be effective once they're able to get their items, if they're able to get to the late game. It's about RNG actually being able to lower the number of fights and continue to wave clear and work around Mata's engagement.
And with that comes actual vision control. It's good to see, you know, a couple members go back, pick up the pinks. You need to be able to sweep out those deep flanks. Teleport's nearly available from the cannon. We've already seen Svenskeren behind enemy lines so many times. As we take another look at that bottom lane play, this is just Mata walking at the duo. And honestly, Biofrost and Doublelift don't have vision and don't respect it.
Oopsie.
Yeah, not good play there by TSM. Biofrost then completely misses the bubble onto Uzi from the looks of it.
Oh, and it's happening again. This is not a replay. This is live. Biofrost gets taken down once more. RNG really focusing the rookie on the international stage.
Yeah, the control of the river is also gone, and TSM is still trying to get it back without actually having jungler and mid lane assistance. So that is Doublelift and Biofrost greeting for that play, and Uzi and Mata having the appropriate answer.
And this allows RNG to keep that gold deficit of 2,000 gold. They even out the kills 3-3, and big items have already been picked up. Proto Belts, both top laners, Abyssal and Morella Nomicon for mid laners. Essence Reaver Zeal into the Ghost Blade, as far as AD carries are concerned. And look at those two wards for RNG in the bottom half of the map. If Doublelift and Biofrost go too far forward, those are very juicy TP wards to get in behind. Actually, one of them just timed out, so Doublelift's going to have a little bit of...
Svenskeren's caught.
Svenskeren is caught.
Ooh.
Gets over the wall. Good reaction time.
So that's a bad thing about the banana brush, I guess. He was spotted by the ward, but because he placed it on the very tip, the pink ward doesn't actually see the green ward, so he was spotted out in his counter jungling venture. Mata went for the play, but wasn't able to pick it up, and now TSM pushing it on this bottom lane, and Svenskeren is corralling.
Right, they're actually trying to send assistance to this side of the map here to try and get the third outer turret, and they're kind of rotating their strength instead of just having Biofrost and Doublelift on their own, and that's what TSM need to do if they want to keep control of this game.
And one more time, Mata walks up to the turret and RNG jerk him back. They just give it away. This is the third turret going down. It's back out to nearly 3,000 gold the lead, but RNG is playing very disciplined.
Spawn, everybody at home can't see just how shocked your eyebrows truly are. This level of discipline and patience from RNG, how surprising is this?
This is unprecedented. Even when they were a great team and they beat EDG in spring, it was by taking very risky team fights in the jungle and smashing people through quicker reaction time and better coordination around team fights. I've actually never seen an RNG lineup play this slow and disciplined in the early game.
Do you think this is a symptom or a consequence of the boot camp and really wanting to show up at Worlds?
I think it has to be. I mean, they must be looking towards 5v5 team fighting because teams are beating them in the macro play.
Speaking of which, there's the teleport from Looper.
Oh, this is scary. TSM is slightly split. Haunter's not going to join yet. Mata gets a double knock-up and Doublelift is down. Biofrost sends out the tidal wave. It does nothing. Haunter's looking for Uzi. Svenskeren's going to find him. That's a 2-for-1 so far, but it will not matter. Shockwave gets 2. Bjergsen's forced to run for his life. A 4-for-1 in favor of RNG.
And that fight was a massacre in the favor of RNG. Doublelift didn't have a chance to react in that one. He was in the river where they haven't had pressure all game, yet he consistently keeps going back there. The Hecarim just destroys him as the Rumble Lock comes down, and then they even extend further to try and kill Uzi. While Bjergsen was on the other side of the fight, it was a very poorly played fight by TSM overall, and the patience that RNG had throughout most of the mid-game was rewarded right there as they set up a very nice team fight.
At least their team fighting still looks the same. Deep teleport coming out. We had already pointed out so many times how RNG likes to do this, and Mata, without hesitation, flash pulse, gets Uzi back into the team, and they blow everyone up. Only Uzi being the casualty. I meant double lift, of course.
Yeah, and then Hanser completes his teleport. They could have bailed out there, but they end up bringing the flash on the Kennen and the Lee Sin, only to both fall. And Bjergsen, because he'd taken the other route around, ends up ceding 3 kills to Xiaohu. And RNG, with an incredibly scary team-fighting team, made it to 20 minutes with an 800 gold deficit.
And all of a sudden, the one lane that was really snowballing out of control, 40 CS in the mid lane, now has 4 kills on the Cassiopeia and 2 completed items. RNG re-sees control of the team fights.
Such a big swing in momentum. RNG looking to contest that blue buff, decided against it though. Instead, peeled away, focused the tower. That will be the second tower of the game. Really easily picked up, and it is an even game at 21.5 minutes.
They don't take the jungle fight, they take the top lane turret. RNG with a semblance of macro play, dare I say it. Prioritizing the correct objective here and getting good deep vision control.
Yeah, a lot of practice, I would have to imagine, coming in for these guys and really trying to show up at Worlds. It's not like they had a terrible showing at the Mid-Season Invitational before they changed out the AD carry. Then they were playing faster than people were expecting, but still that requires a macro sense in the game. It definitely feels like they may have changed philosophies just a little bit, especially in the draft phase here, going for the Alistar, which is completely unexpected, but being able to avoid the punishment, and then now capitalizing on the mid-game.
And of course, this is one of the best macro supports of all time. We're still talking about Mata. He hasn't played this way recently, but I'm sure with some preparation, going away for a month, really having some deep reflection, he said that he wasn't playing for the laning phase, that he was playing more to win the rest of the map. And it looks like, with some studying, has actually got a very good grasp on the current meta, because they lost the early part of the laning phase, but then brought it back.
Look at that vision. Thank you, observers, for highlighting it. That allowed them to take that tower earlier. Very safe, very securely. Items continuing to spike up here. Infinity Edge closer and closer for Uzi. He's got that crit cloak as well as a BF sword and a Zeal. It's just getting very, very scary for TSM. An even game of 22 minutes against that scaling and that teamfight power.
And this is a build that Uzi goes when they want to stall out games, because it's incredible wave clear. I mean, you get an auto attack, you send down the ricochet, you send down the boomerang, and it pretty much clears out any wave. And that is going to deter a lot of the dives coming out. Just the flat AD is very good. Uzi's also always been a little bit of a gambling man. If he can go pickaxe or the crit cloak, he'll always go crit cloak. He does believe in the RNG and will try and win team fights off the back end of 1 or 2 crits.
Hey, it's in front of his tag. So but for TSM, how do they bring themselves now back into this game? They've still got very strong champions at this stage in the game.
Yeah. I think they try and get picks, and they try and capitalize on the fact that MLXG is a challenging smite jungler without Sightstone. So the amount of vision control that RNG can get out on the map is actually somewhat limited. It's not too uncommon in the LPL, actually, for the mid laner to ward more than the jungler, so expect Xiaohu to keep the warding trinket for a long period of time and consistently replenish pink wards on the map, but it does leave a potential hole in vision if TSM do want to try and get picks, and they set it up with Lee Sin, Kennen, Orianna ultimates, and have Doublelift just stay in the back, because RNG has picked a team that can just absolutely obliterate him if he gets close.
Good damage from Svenskeren. MLXG gonna use that speed boost to get up, but Bjergsen's caught, he's down, he's dead, they got him.
Mata got him again. He's 100% kill participation. That was a flash pulverize that ended up catching Bjergsen, and then they popped the grounded on him from Cassiopeia, so he can't even flash away. Beautiful pick and kill by RNG.
Gonna allow them access into TSM's jungle. Hanser gets caught once again, grounded by that Cassiopeia. Xiaohu now trying to back away. Kill onto Mata, Svenskeren forced out. Red buff traded for Mata's life.
So this is one of the weaknesses of RNG. They do invade, they get picked off. This time, however, they choose not to fight. They still have the equalizer as well as MLXG's ultimate, but they just cede the lost life, I guess, of their support player. They traded it for Bjergsen and a red buff. I'm going to say worth, but right now, this is how TSM actually get back into this. They continue to prey on the bad tendencies of RNG that are still visible in their gameplay.
Yeah, and this is just another example of how unpredictable I feel like Worlds can be. This game is such a unique set of circumstances, having to remake that first game and then the champion select being completely changed up. And Mata is actually the one showing up more so than anyone else. Flash to an instant headbutt, pulverize into a Cassiopeia Miasma. No chance for Bjergsen, but then as Spawn says, they push their luck and trade a kill back for a red buff.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. I mean, that's a W buffer, a headbutt buffer into the immediate pulverize. There's nothing that really Bjergsen can do there if he's not quick enough on the initial reaction. Gets comboed into the CC. Mata's Alistar really is impressive.
Yeah, and I think this game is going to become very tense right now. You have 5 turrets down overall in the game. Only TSM's middle turret is the remaining outer turret on the game. The goal this close, RNG has shown a propensity for being able to find team fights kind of based on Mata's flash cooldown. So much of this has to do with vision control, not getting caught out by RNG, and finding the right way to pick up the objectives. What's interesting is despite all the team fight losses, TSM still have 2 Drakes, and that is going to help them at least a little bit in trying to play around objectives.
Yeah, completely agree. And they also still have superior map vision. I mean, right now they're pushing RNG, who is a stronger 5v5 team, with all of their ultimates available, off vision right now. And maybe it's just that, you know, TSM weighed in numbers, but RNG also sitting off the bot lane wave, not really challenging the split push right now coming out of Cannon. They really do look like they're still happy to stall this one out.
Now, of course, for RNG, that scaling still on their side. For TSM, pressure. You know, they came out the gates swinging early, and a couple of winning lanes, Svenskeren went off. But it didn't generate enough of a lead to gain any semblance of control. And now they have to go toe-to-toe with one of the best team fighting teams in the world. No hesitation. So rarely missed skill shots on the side of RNG, and that's a tough, tough mountain to climb.
Yeah, and the backline damage of RNG with Sivir and Cassiopeia and Rumble is immense, and they still are able to pick a tank line with the Hecarim and the Alistar. So as far as getting the right team fights, they're very well prepared for that. But let's also not discount TSM's ability to start team fights. Until you see mega tanks on the side of RNG, the mid-game power spike here from a 3-item Orianna as well as a Protobell Kennen can obliterate the damage dealers if they get the right fight. So it is on RNG to not let that happen, continue shoving out these waves, and continue to extend the game.
And you know, I'm a little bit more confident on the reliability to get that shockwave because I've been seeing how Svenskeren's playing on this Lee Sin. If he penetrates the backline the way he has been the entirety of this game so far, that's going to be an easy delivery system. Hauntzer can look for the big flanks. But that's one thing that RNG has done well. They haven't controlled vision past the river, but in their own jungle right now, they have kept those big, deep flanking wards out.
No real deep vision for TSM inside RNG's jungle yet, but the river control around Baron at 28 minutes is very, very good. They've got a lot of damage dealers as well if they wanted to. Trying to force RNG's hand. Pressure now in the mid lane. Sonic Wave, as well as a Deadly Flourish, not really doing anything to Uzi.
2-for-1 special on the spell shield there.
Yep. And TSM now trying to push that vision deeper. Risky. If they get that team fight, however, if they pull RNG towards them and then pull the trigger, Maelstrom and Shockwave, that could be game ending.
Yeah, and they do have good vision control where it matters right now. The Ocean Drake is live. It could be the second Ocean Drake of the game for TSM, and they're moving towards that. The question is this what RNG wants? They have the Scuttle Crab, they have wards they can teleport on, and they have Flash on Mata, so TSM have to be very careful. So I think we're going to see
Teleport coming in.
Teleport just behind the Dragon Pit, secured by RNG. MLXG gets the smite down. And Svenskeren comes away worse for wear. That's Dragon number 1 for Royal.
Teleport advantage picked up right now for TSM. Mid lane priority very heavily in Royal's favor. We'll see where the Haunter does look for a teleport play because there is vision behind RNG.
I think playing the teleport game against this RNG team composition is an incredibly dangerous game because of the swiftness in which they initiate. The fight could be over by the time you're able to match it with the teleport. So RNG get the mid lane turret. Haunter should be able to get this one back. And now maybe we see some Baron control seated over. This is interesting.
Oh, Equalizer used just to try and push that wave down, I feel. Looper not doing the best. Haunter trades a tower. So in at bottom, losing Dragon for mid outer. RNG 30 minutes in, still even in the important metrics and ahead in kills.
RNG definitely wanted that team fight. You could see that Mata was positioning very aggressively. They dropped the equalizer. They don't get it, so a missed opportunity right now for RNG. But you can see how desperate they are to find these 5v5s, willing to challenge for Dragon, even with limited vision, willing to burn that teleport. And TSM actually keep them at bay and get a positive trade.
And I'm really curious to see how the rest of this game is going to turn out, since we're pretty much locked up in gold and RNG have the stronger team fighting composition. Because so much of RNG's game plan during the regular season is just force it Baron, make the other team come for you, that'll do it. Now there's a teleport advantage for TSM. Will TSM be able to use this against them, or would the brute force of RNG be able to win out?
I remember us talking in terms of the prep coming into this, how RNG had moved away from that heavy ganking style of gameplay and moved more into that, if I recall correctly, jungle invading and vision style spawn. And that's sort of how this game played out. Mata got first blood onto Svenskeren via a great invade, has comboed with Uzi multiple times. This time, however, Svenskeren is able to get away.
And that right there is a swing and a miss. They burned the Sivir ultimate. They don't even really gain much more vision control, and Svenskeren just got to ward hop away. All the while, they still have that teleport advantage on TSM's side.
They completely do, but you can see how much more reactive TSM is now, waiting for some more items to come out. Honestly, this game feels like a time bomb now for RNG, because this is their style of League of Legends. Heavy 5v5 focus. Lupa is the one that calls the teleport, and he's always been a very good teleport player, whatever you want to say about the rest of his play. And you feel like they do have the superior setup right now. The important thing for TSM is wrestle that back. Don't give it up, because that's when RNG gets a little bit antsy and will maybe take a poor team fight to get things started up.
And I think a lot of it comes down to execution. I think RNG is now favored in this game, evidenced by TSM playing a reactive style. And they have a lot of tools to be able to force fights with the Sivir, Alistar, Hecarim, and Rumble.
Look at the minimap, look at the minimap. Mata's trying to find a flank.
Mata's
I
way
think he's going to
behind
get in
him.
behind TSM. TSM could be in trouble. There's a bunch of wards north and south of TSM's position, but Lupa, no teleport available, so I'm getting a bit too excited. Mata decides to back away.
Yeah, they call him off one more time. I mean, Mata backs away, and they know that time is still in their favor. He's looking for it one more time. He was spotted out. Svenskeren?
Oh, again, looking for it on the hunt. Good flash.
Oh my goodness.
Three-man knockup. TSM are getting destroyed. They've already lost two. Bjergsen and Svenskeren trying to run for their lives. The shockwave's already used. Haunter goes golden, but he's going to get taken down. Knocked up once again by Mata. Mata still with 100% kill participation. RNG go for Baron.
And that was just TSM not respecting the flank, because they had a ward in the Raptor pit, a ward in the brush. They knew he was coming. They threw the gauntlet, and they get destroyed.
And they knew they really wanted to fight. Now RNG has 5 people at Baron. This would be a disastrous steal if Svenskeren able to get it. But Mata is so good on Alistar. The reactive flash by Bjergsen, good reaction time. But the fact that Mata didn't even care about that, and he saw the real prize, which was the 3-man pulverize, was excellent.
Give me Alistar and I will win you the game. Svenskeren greeds for Uzi here. Headbutt onto Bjergsen, but massive pulverize.
And then the CC is dodged by RNG. Looper Zonia's the shockwave as well as the cannon ultimate. Xiaohu is just ghosting back away from the cannon ultimate. And Uzi is also staying for DPS at the back of the fight. This is what we talk about when we say RNG are the best team fighters.
And this is why you don't team fight them. Individually, there was not one mistake made by an RNG member that time around. And they are so individually gifted that as long as they have Mata on a strong initiator, the rest of the team just follows up. And it always works out.
Yeah, does seem to be the case right now. Focus down the bottom lane. Haunter just gets dropped. So easy for RNG. Onslaught of Shadows and on the hunt with Baron buff. They're pushing the tower.
That's the thing. They have an Alistar ultimate still up to try and tank the turret. The Rumble ultimate is still up. Haunter is dead for another 40 seconds. How much can RNG get off this? Their Baron power play already up at 2,700 gold.
And I said the reason I like Kennen is because not only the initiation, but the anti-dive the champion brings. Without him on the board, it is a much more realistic prospect that Mata gets underneath that turret and does try and start up one of these team fights.
And here's the thing, RNG actually pull back yet again. Instead of waiting for the next minion wave while Haunter is dead and trying to dive and inhibit turret, they move mid, they play the vision, they're going for the easier turret, the outer in the mid lane.
Another initiation tool gone for TSM right now, and it is still RNG jockeying for position around the map.
Mata steps on the trap, is going to get triggered. No flash available this time around, not even needed. Just the presence alone of Mata allows another tower to fall.
This is bizarre.
It's been a rather bizarre day, I would say. But at the same time, when we were walking into this game, I did not see TSM as heavy favorites against RNG. I saw them as slight favorites against RNG, and it really depended on how well RNG had practiced since their disappointing final in the LPL. Looks like they practiced pretty well.
Another easy kill.
And just one more time, not respecting vision control, MLXG continues the chase, but really it's Haunter they want.
It is Haunter they want. Hourglass is available. Biofrost actually throws down the tidal wave, anticipating more aggression. And chat, you were saying it. RNG, they've come in looking phenomenally well prepared, exquisitely disciplined, and they're just playing fantastic League of Legends.
Yeah, and I think what Spawn was talking about this being odd is just, look at the mid lane. They're down 90 CS, but they're up 70 CS, where they actually were in a disadvantaged matchup early in the game, and that matchup was never able to be exploited by TSM, who had been such a dominant bottom lane domestically.
And really, this wasn't MLXG camping out for Uzi.
Not at all.
This was Mata joining up with MLXG, finding the enemy jungler, being able to punish, and actually get MLXG back into the game, because you have to remember, Svenskeren was styling on RNG's jungler earlier on.
On the hunt was thrown down, in fact.
Yeah, they see Bjergsen again.
Shockwave doesn't hit anybody. Bjergsen just gets run down. Cut through like a hot knife through butter. 50 seconds on the death time in RNG. They're setting their sights on the inhibitor turrets.
TSM at this point in the game look out of sorts. They have been caught so many times, and now Sven tries to go in. They're trying to engage.
A lot of damage on the Xiaohu. That is the shutdown, but the equalizer gets one back into Svenskeren. Haunter, the gate is closed. He gets booted backwards. Knocked out goes Golden. Will get shut down by RNG. MLXG's not done. Mata finds double lift, and Uzi gets the triple kill with the boomerang, and they go back for the base.
And with no hesitation, RNG pull the trigger into the base. They're going to open this one up, and it might even be game.
Yeah, Bjergsen's still down for 15, 40 seconds on Haunter and double lift. Uzi is huge, 7 kills. They're going for the game.
They are indeed. The Nexus turret is the focus. MLXG's got a GA, not even gonna need it. Nexus turret number 2, RNG take down TSM. RNG destroy the hometown heroes and are victorious against Team SoloMid.
And after the events that transpired before this game even happened, the Aurelion Sol pick by RNG, not being able to play it, having picks and bans remade, and Lee Sin taken away from them, they let none of this phase them. They played smart, they played respectfully, and they played dominantly against TSM.
And they were willing to give up that early game advantage, continue to seed out objective after objective, 2 turrets, 2 dragons. But when they felt they were strong, they are still such a decisive team fighting team, and they really did show that against North America's best.
What a message RNG have sent rippling through the World Championship. We need to see this level of coordination and control through multiple games.
Yep.
But that is a very, very strong testament to where their maximum capabilities could end up.
And there's no question about it. RNG can play it at 10. I mean, Mata said at MSI, if I had had Uzi as my AD carry, I would have won the tournament. So that's what they're obviously going for here. However, can they continue to play at the 10 is a big question for this team.
Exactly. Group stage alone is 2 weeks long, and we are now 1 day into Worlds. So a lot is yet to happen, but this is a very disappointing loss for TSM. People